So in the way that life does, everything got totally derailed, and I don't know where I'm going. I'm sharing my key takeaways from my journey, and today's video features 7 lessons on artistic resistance from my own experiences. There's also a special gift you can download at the end of the video, something I believe will help you on your own path. You know you should do it, you feel it's your calling, so why aren't you? I'm talking about resisting what your heart knows you should be doing, be it a project, a painting, a song, or a dream. At the top! In this deeply personal video, I invite you to witness my own battle against resistance as I rush to finish a new song before next week's studio session. If you've ever wanted to be a fly on the wall, to experience the reality of songwriting, I think you're going to enjoy this. Let the piano take it over and... Yeah, that'll be... It's time to get up! Okay, let's dive into the songwriting and my takeaways. Let's talk artistic resistance. I think it's worth trying to define what resistance is. So first on resistance, the origin of the word resistance comes from the Latin word resistentia, meaning literally to stand against. So on a psychological level, you're literally standing against yourself. The question is, why? And I'll get to that later. But for now, let's consider the artistic process as not just about the creation of something, but about a transformation journey in yourself. You are moving from here to there. As Pressfield writes in The War of Art, most of us have 2 lives, the lives we live and the unlived life within us. Between the 2 stands resistance. Okay, with that, it's time to get down to the business of writing this song. Let's go. Tip 1, overcoming procrastination. I've suffered terribly from procrastination this week as I try to get into the year's groove. It's very easy to be here and not here simultaneously nowadays, and the effect it has is that we're not anywhere at all. I feel a bit exhausted, you know, you have that up and down, the release, and the emotion, and maybe what the song's about catches up with you along the way, and tonight I feel a little bit like back where I was. Personally, I had a lot going on with my work and social media at the start of this week, and I felt very fragmented while in the rehearsal room. I noticed that with resistance, it's not just the internal feelings we have to deal with, it's the invasive external bombardment of notification, beeps, alerts, messages, and reminders. Eventually, I realized I just had to take control by leaving my damn phone on silent. My first takeaway is that if your phone is in the room with you as you work, you have not yet turned pro. So this week, try leaving it behind for a full creative session. Tip 2, solace in solitude. The first decision of creativity is to meet what is going on inside you. Rainer Maria Rilke wrote that the only journey is the one within. And yet the journey within is the one we resist most. Why? It's because what you most want can only be found where you least want to look. To get the treasure, you have to fight the dragon. So ask yourself, where do you find your solitude? Takeaway 2, commit yourself to your solitude 3 times this week. Tip 3, do not expect it to be easy. The act of creating something is about manifesting something from within you into the world. It's kinetic, it's powerful, and it's gut-wrenching. But part of you is being left behind exactly at the moment that another part of you is being born. So the pressure's on. I need to get this done today. There is multiple deadlines. I'm in the studio in a few days. I need to get the songs off to the band. Need to get this video finished so that everything's going on time. So I'm just giving myself time limits, like time boxes. I have this amount of time for that. Resistance often stems from clinging to one's old identity while birthing a new part of ourselves. What I found this week was that by showing up daily, I could allow the process which was happening within me to unfold. At times I felt alone and vulnerable, but gradually as the song emerged, I felt a deepening mental resilience through the act of consistency itself. So takeaway 3, this week, go in even when you don't feel like it and just see what happens. It's not get up. No. No one got to say. It's time to get up. It's time to move on. 'Cause you never really know what the future brings until it comes for you. Tip 4, define what is professional for you. One of the things that frustrates me is that in the rehearsal room, I find myself resistant to the very habits I know will most improve me. For instance, I'm trying to learn the piano and I'm so eager to play it well that I rush through the actual discipline it takes to become a competent player. I then read this line from Jung: "What you resist persists." I realized I needed to have humility before the instrument, to do not what I want of it, but what it asks of me. When I acquiesced to it, 2 things happened. First, I wrote my new song, Wolves at the Door, and second, I started improving again. I made this limerick to remind myself, if the metronome isn't clicking and the timer ain't ticking, it's not practice. And I've been messing them up for ages. But I just decided to really zero in on them. So again, it's like with resistance, you can resist forever. You zero in on that smallest thing. Have the humility for the repetition. Then you get into that meditation. It's very nice. Right, back to it. So takeaway 4, define what activity actually improves you and make a discipline of doing that. So when you resist, you're not putting yourself in to that potential of getting to the end of the day and being that little bit better than you were. And so often we think we're better than the improvement that we could make. And it's a really false way of thinking, because really all progression, all transformation, it happens in these micro steps, in the minuscule. So you have to believe in the minuscule over and over and over. That means surrendering yourself into the smallest possible thing that's before you. And then through the repetition, through the surrender, through the wax on and the wax off, you progress into the next stage of your potential and your talent and eventually, hopefully, your life. Tip 5, say the word no. Look, many of us struggle with an abominable feeling of hollowness or unfulfillment. The paradox is that the very places we seek to avoid it, bars, gossip, drugs, parties, only compound it. What helped me this week was remembering the power of the word no. If you want to start dealing with your inner resistance, you need to start guardrailing against the ways you're running from it. So takeaway 5, set your parameters. The next time the invitation comes in and you feel in your gut that it's pulling you away from your path, have the guts to say no. No. Tip 6, context shifting. Getting into the rehearsal room is only half the battle, and it's easy to find yourself in full-fledged resistance once you arrive. The key thing we're trying to unlock in ourselves is uninterrupted focus. Okay, so one last final push. I got up this morning. Today's the final deadline. And the lyrics weren't yet written when I was vocaling last night, so I knew I kind of had to do it again. Part of you just wants to avoid it. You're like, yeah, leave it till later. But it's like, no, why leave it till later? Anyway, I kind of roughed out some lyrics today. You can show it to you there. There you go, there they are. And I'm just trying to get a vocal down so it sounds nearly like music when I send it out to the band. It's time to get up. It's time to move on. 'Cause you never really know what the future brings till it comes for you. This week I used the Pomodoro technique, working in bouts of 30-minute hot sprints. I find that if I can get one bout done early, I can trick my resistance into a flow state. However, something I'd offer is to be aware of what Cal Newport, who wrote Deep Work, calls context switching. Multitasking is taxing on the mind, and even small actions drain the energy essential for inspiration and artistic creation. Remember, these distractions have a compounding effect on your most valuable resource, your energy. So takeaway 6, when you do take breaks, do something non-screen related and save that energy. Tip 7, overcome success and failure. Earlier in the week, I was putting tremendous pressure on myself to write something good. It made me feel stressed and blocked, and I realized that a social dimension had crept into the rehearsal room. I was worrying about success and failure before I'd even written a song. It was a tough realization, but it really helped. Those early hours in the morning, just within the silence, within the breath. And if you can hear that sense of why, that sense of calling, you go into that deeper motivation beyond any resistance that you feel. Because so often resistance is about catching up, and you're suddenly so motivated, and you've got so many things you're trying to do, and it's like, heart doesn't want to be chased in this type of way. It wants to be invited into you. Resistance cannot be seen, touched, heard, or smelled, but it can be felt. We experience it as an energy field radiating from a work in potential. It's a repelling force. When I allowed a sense of play back into my work, that is, the courage to experiment and to be bad, I connected again to my inner muse. It's time to get up. It's time to move on. 'Cause you never really know what the future brings until it comes to you. Time to leave the wolves now at the door. Time to leave the wolves now at the time. Leave the wolves now at the door. What am I doing here? I've got over here, I don't know if you can see that. So over here, I've got the beat there, right? So let's just go in there and see if we can't just get something a bit different. Because if not, you guys will just be listening to the same thing with the vibration ideas. And I quite like the idea. So I've opened up, it's called Teletone Audio. And this is the electro bass plugin. It's like super cool. So I'm just gonna have a quick listen. Tell me if you want me to start looming this stuff so you can actually see it on the screen. Let's have a look what sounds we can find in there. I began thinking again about what I could give rather than about what I could get, and the song finally flowed. I realized that its title, Wolves at the Door, was about overcoming ideas of success and failure and returning to my musical heart. The reality is, as Helen Fielding said, no one is thinking about you, they're thinking about themselves, just like you. My final takeaway is this: instead of worrying about the world, get into the spirit of the doing itself, and don't forget, keep it fun. Thank you for watching, guys. It brings so much meaning to my life that you do so and that you're supporting me on this journey. I made a short one-page PDF compressing the ideas in this video, which you can find in the notes below. If you're struggling with artistic resistance, I really do think it would be a great help. And if you'd like to support me, please like and subscribe. And I have one question. What country are you watching from? I'd really like to know. Okay, have a great week, everyone.